All right, so welcome to the miracle work, to day 3 of the Resurrection in Progress Awakening Intensive. And great that you joined and that we could already come into communication by just being quiet and listening to the music. So thank you for your light and that what you bring when you enter in, so to speak. That's really beautiful. Thank you for that. And so today I'm just going to use the manual for teachers of A Course in Miracles, and very specific part. Like we discovered the other day, like yesterday, we discovered that one of the main reason why you are actually on this path is the fact that you want this direct communication with God. It is an option, it is a possibility, and it has an incredible magnetic force. In fact, it is what you recognize in yourself, that you're moved by something, that something is living in you that is so huge and so incredible, that you start to recognize that as your direct communication. But there is more to that to say, and so I use a very specific part of the manual for teachers, which answers the question: is a direct communication possible? And now it seems like, okay, that is the subject, but actually something else is presented too that might be surprisingly comforting to you when you read it. Like that came to me when I read through it. It's like unbelievable, so great to read it. So I will make you very curious right now, so that you will sit on the edge of your seat, not wanting to miss any of this. And it's great. Your attention is needed here. Like if you hear this, if you hear that what is being shared, it increases in power for you and for me too. So that is so wonderful to discover, to go together into this matter, so to speak, and see how much it is part of me, of you. That's just mind-blowing, really is. All right, I will share the PDF here with you on screen, and we start reading and continue from there. So here's the manual for teachers, and then a very specific part. Can God be reached directly? That is the question then. So 150. Make it a little bigger. If I can move it up a little. So here we are. Can God be reached directly? And this is the answer. Yes, God indeed can be reached directly. For there is no distance between him and his Son, right? Yeah, we know this, like God is one with me. So there's no distance between him and his Son. His awareness is in everyone's memory, and his word is written on everyone's heart. All right. So that has a biblical reference too, that I'm going to read right now too. So his awareness is in everyone's memory, and his word is written on everyone's heart. In Jeremiah 31, it says down here at the bottom, but it is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts, and in their heart will I write it, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. So this is a famous quote too. You know this one. You probably have heard of it. So I will put my law in their inward parts, and in their heart will I write it, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Jeremiah 31. And we continue. Yet this awareness and this memory can arise across the threshold of the unconscious only where all barriers to truth have been removed. Wow. So yet this awareness and this memory can arise across the threshold of the unconscious only where all barriers to truth have been removed. All right. So that's a 206. Oh, wait, we have one more biblical reference from Romans 2. Who show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves their thoughts accusing or else excusing them. Who show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves their thoughts accusing or else excusing them. All right, so I'll repeat the last sentence. Yet this awareness and this memory can arise across the threshold of the unconscious, where all barriers to truth have been removed. So in how many is this the case? Okay, so here's the role of God's teachers. They too have not attained the necessary understanding as yet, but they have joined with others. That is what sets them apart from the world. They have joined with others. Now we're going to see what, because we're going to continue a little bit with this part. Okay. And it is this joining with others that enables others to leave the world with them. Alone they are nothing, but in their joining is the power of God. In their joining is the power of God. There are those who have reached God directly, retaining no trace of worldly limits and remembering their own identity perfectly. These might be called the teachers of teachers, because although they are no longer visible, their image can yet be called upon. And they will appear when and where it is helpful for them to do so. To those to whom such appearances would be frightening, they give their ideas. No one can call on them in vain, nor is there anyone of whom they are unaware. All needs are known to them, and all mistakes are recognized and overlooked by them. The time will come when this is understood, and meanwhile they give all their gifts to the teachers of God, who look to them for help, asking all things in their name and in no other. Okay, so I'm stopping sharing here, right here. And so doing this, wow. So did you just hear what was shared? And that's pretty amazing. So there's like, can God be reached directly? Yes, that's possible. There's a bit of a but here, but all barriers to receive it must have been removed in order to have a clear conscience where that can come in. And so there's a couple of steps to make then. So one of them is joining in purpose with your brother, seeing that that is an opportunity for you to join in purpose, just like we come together now. We do this for a very specific reason. We recognize our shared purpose. You know, I mentioned this many times. It's like we recognize our shared purpose. That in itself has so much power. Like the universe joins in when that is the case. So it's like everything falls into place when you do that. And that works great. And then there are those who receive, say, the direct communication with God and disappear completely into it. We have seen some examples of that, and or not seen at all. So what do you think about Jesus here? So he has given the Course in Miracles, for instance, as a blueprint for you to get out of here, so to speak, a guidebook to get out of the limitations of the perceived limitations of your human being. So this is really wonderful. Here it says too, when you want to use the one that recognized the direct communication and disappeared into it, when you want to call them on, literally for help, they will answer. It is available. So this is the same with you could say like Holy Spirit, Jesus. I don't know who you are calling. Like, is there a specific one, a risen one, so to speak, or in pure communication one that you call to? Well, I actually want to know. Let's write this down. I'm setting up one of these beautiful whiteboards again. So I hope you want to participate with me in this. Write down the one that you are calling for help. Is there a specific one that you call on? Yes, I do. So I write down this. So you're welcome to write it down or to type it or whatever. There can be more than one. I know for myself. I do this one, purple. Yeah, exactly. Christ. And here my friend too, yeah. Well, here you have it. That's wonderful. Ah. So, yes. Why not? Isn't that great? Yeah, Mother Mary. Yeah, Ganesh, Saraswati, Sri Siddharamesh. Absolutely. Isn't that great? Yeah, Mother Mary. Yeah, Ganesh, Saraswati, Sri Siddharamesh. Absolutely. Ramana, Maharishi, Guru Nanak, Maria Magdalena, Buddha, Krishna, of course. Oh, how lovely is that? Oh my God, look at that. More. Okay, so I'll put these up for you too. I can send you the picture of it. So you see all the names that are present here. So it's like, see how well that works. It's written here, but we know that we can do that. So you call on figures, so to speak, figures that you don't see, but are definitely there and helping you out. So it says here, and I'll share that one more time, because it's so good to know it and to have that fully in your awareness that it's always a possibility. No one, here it says, no one can call on them in vain, nor is there anyone of whom they are unaware. All needs are known to them, and all mistakes are recognized and overlooked by them. The time will come when this is understood, and meanwhile, they give all their gifts to the teachers of God, which is you, anyone who decides to be one, teaching truth, who look to them for help, asking all things in their name and in no other. Wow. So I continue because this is, to me, totally exciting and beautiful. Sometimes a teacher of God, which is you teaching truth, sometimes a teacher of God may have a brief experience of direct union with God. In this world, it is almost impossible that this endures. And why is that? Well, this is funny too, if you look at it. Like when you have an experience of a direct contact, I'll quit this for a second. So when you have a moment in which you are in direct communication with God, what happens to the world? It disappears. It disappears. So when it's said like it hardly endures, when you are in a direct communication, this hardly endures. This world hardly, like it hardly endures in this world, because when you have an experience of being, say, in direct communication, the world disappears, like literally dissolves, because it is nothing else but that. Like there is nothing else but a direct communication with God, in essence, in your true being, in your, in the state that is your natural soul state. Direct and beautiful, complete and whole communication. Okay, so that was a good one to mention too. So we continue further. In this world, it is almost impossible that this endure. It can perhaps be won after much devotion and dedication, and then be maintained for most of the time on earth. But this is so rare that it cannot be considered a realistic goal. If it happens, so be it. If it does not happen, so be it as well. All worldly states must be illusory. If God were reached directly in sustained awareness, the body would not be long maintained, right? I'll come back to that. Those who have laid the body down merely to extend their helpfulness to those remaining behind are few indeed, and they need helpers who are still in bondage and still asleep, so that by their awakening can God's voice be heard. So this is an interesting part, isn't it? So all worldly states must be illusory. If God were reached directly in sustained awareness, the body would not be long maintained. If you are in a direct communication with God, what happens to your body? Do you still hold ideas about it? No. So what will happen with the body? It will no longer be maintained. It will disappear. So those who have laid the body down merely to extend their helpfulness to those remaining behind are few indeed. And they need helpers who are still in bondage and still asleep, so that by their awakening can God's voice be heard. Do not despair then because of limitations. So here's the secret, deeply comforting expression. It's A4. I'll do it like this. Do not despair then because of limitations. It is your function, here listen very carefully, it is your function to escape from them, but not to be without them. If you would be heard by those who suffer, you must speak their language. Okay, so that's the next step. But here in the first sentence, I'll try to repeat this one more time, because it's really deeply comforting. It's like, well, I never heard this before. Do not despair then because of limitations. It is your function to escape from them, but not to be without them. Oh, wow, why does he say that? Why does he say that right here? It's like, that is so interesting. You're here to escape your limitations, but not to be without them. Why is that? Okay, so here's a great, opportunity. A great opportunity to actually recognize your place right here, right now, on planet Earth, so to speak, in this world, in your awareness of yourself as it is right now. You know, that is what's happening. You encounter limitations. That's inevitable. So that's not a sign that you are not waking up, or that something went wrong, or that this or that. No, not at all. Will there be more limitations? Yes, there will be more limitations coming up. So hold on. But the reason I'm sharing this is because the comfort of it is, this is not having a comfortable life on planet Earth because you awaken to the truth and you're all fine and good. No, not at all. So here it is. Actually, to come into your true demonstration that this is not, like, this world is not a limitation. You are coming into all kinds of situations in which you severely, intensely, amazingly come into limitations, but you don't stay with them. You're actually going beyond them. You're actually allowing the change to occur, in which you, say, enter into the freedom of them. But this conversion is really what is so important, because it is in fact it is the demonstration of a power greater than yourself that is actually doing it for you. You're literally allowing that to flow through you. Well, this is so great to hear that. This is like world news to the ones in the spiritual path, because you think of enlightenment as some kind of floating carpet on cloud 9, where everything is bliss and everything is totally cool. And it is not that way. Like, as long as you find yourself here in this world, not being of it, but in this world, encountering limitations, it's great. It's great. It's so helpful because you can actually demonstrate that you're not bound by these limitations, but you can be healed of them. You can say, let them be converted for you, let them be healed for you, and see that you're not bound by it. So great. I love it. So there's a lot of comfort in that, because it makes clear too where to focus on in your spiritual awakening. So the limitations is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. No, the encountering of limitations is not that you put a spell on yourself, that you think like my physical limitations that I encounter is just a sign that I didn't hear a word so far from this message. No, not at all. Not true at all. It's like, no. This is your opportunity to demonstrate that it's not an eternal limitation, but that it can change. So you, in fact, demonstrate the other possibility, literally the miracle. You are the miracle. If you would be hurt by those who suffer, you must speak their language. Oh, that's one way of saying that, right? So by you having just the same limitations as everyone, but moving through it and showing a different outcome altogether, you're actually exemplifying this. If you would be saviors, you must understand what needs to be escaped. Oh, this is a nice one. Salvation is not theoretical. So it's not we talk about salvation and that's all fine. And I'll tell you exactly what salvation is. It's like, no, that's not how this works. So if you would be a savior, you must understand what needs to be escaped. Salvation is not theoretical. Behold the problem, ask for the answer. Behold the problem, ask for the answer, and then accept the answer when it comes. Okay, so when it comes. Accept the answer when it comes. Nor will its coming be long delayed. All the help you can accept will be provided, and not one need you have will not be met. Let us not then be too concerned with goals for which you are not ready. Like, for instance, being in the continuous direct communication with God. That's not so important right now. Let us not then be too concerned with goals for which you are not ready. God takes you where you are and welcomes you. What more could you desire when this is all you need? Wow. Let us not then be too concerned with goals for which you are not ready. God takes you where you are and welcomes you. What more could you desire when this is all you need? All right, so so this is also good. Like, you don't need to be in a different place than you find yourself right now, because I have to, so like, you don't need to be in a different place than you find yourself right now. How comforting is that too? So that's another one. It's like, no, it's perfectly. God is going to take you exactly where you find yourself. No problem. No, there's no conflict here. There's no other place that you should be, or there's no other way that you should awaken than the way you do. It's exactly right. Like, it's so perfectly orchestrated. The only problem that you can perceive is that you think in terms of yourself. And so in the big picture of all things, It works so perfectly. It is a total setup. Every situation that you're in, every person that you meet, every conflict that you encounter, all the limitations that you perceive, all this, all that, and more, all that is like so perfectly orchestrated. And your place in it is to stay right here, right now, going through it, not being exempt from limitations, no, going through it, but knowing that you can call on help, literally to bring the light in here, in this darkness that you perceive the conflict. You literally bring in the light, whether that is of Jesus, whether that is of Sri Waka Waka Bua, or who knows who, you know, whatever help you ask for, it literally comes into your frame of reference that you have limited in a certain sense. So suddenly there's more light for you to actually see the limitation dissolve. And that is too much fun to be aware of, and also to enjoy, so that you don't avoid limitations, for instance, that you try to go in between, like walking between the drops of the rain, something like that. No, you don't have to do that. No, just go straight into this, and don't don't avoid it. And also don't think that you should be in a different place, because it's a real temptation to be, say, disappointed in yourself, that you think you should be somewhere else. Like, no, this setup is so perfect, you have no idea. So you're being used in that sense, exactly in your way, in your situations, by your encountering limitations in your way. But you are given the answer. So it's like you're going to apply this literally to demonstrate your own freedom to yourself to begin with, extending this to others by others on the path. So I want to ask you, I'm going to pull up a whiteboard again. Since we're talking about limitations, why don't you write down a fresh, new limitation that you experienced today or yesterday, or that is really in your consciousness right now? What limitation are you encountering? All the stuff making me worry. Being judged, to be still, self, ego, family impossibilities, extreme financial lack. But it has been around forever. And here, what is here? I cannot go to that. All right, so possible, homeless, okay, understanding, illness. Okay, we have it. Are we good? All right. There's more? Yeah, why not? All right, so we got it. Oh, to be an earthly remedial teacher in our new school. Yeah, that's great too. So let's close this down for now. So, and like I said, not that we have to hold on to this, but I can share this sheet too. All right, so this fact that you're in it, so there's nothing wrong with it. right? There's nothing wrong with it. No, this is your specific, say, area of training, so to speak, in which you're going to discover your personal individual freedom, or you're going to demonstrate that freedom of these limitations. Now, are these lessons learned quickly or slowly? It can be so different. It can be so different. Is there any hurry? No, there's not really a hurry. Is it uncomfortable for you? Oh, yes, it's very uncomfortable for you. And does it need to be that way? It's like that. You don't really know that. Like, is it necessary to go through this all? Yes, it is. Does it need to take long? No, not necessarily. Can it take long? Yes, it can. Like amazing things. I had this too. It's like I went through stuff that took years, which is pretty wild. You know, it's like, this is all instantaneous. Why does this take so long? Well, exactly for the reason I shared with you. It's like you're literally going through this specific project, if you want. You go through this specific project in which you're going to discover your own freedom in it. So whether that's one subject or 10, it doesn't matter. If you encounter this, especially on your physicality, or your financial matters, or your professional, and that is all perfect. Okay, so I'm just muting the microphones. Sorry. So that's all perfect. That's all perfect, and yeah, it's maybe not the way that you would love to have that, and like, why do I have to do it this way? Like, I don't really like the role I'm playing in this whole salvation thing. But like we just read, it's like salvation is not theoretical. So in order for you to demonstrate salvation for yourself, you go through it in not in theory, but in practice, in your practical daily life. Yeah, that's great. So that's quite a revelation, isn't it? To discover this. I had no idea it was in here. So I'm really happy that I got information literally from out of time, sharing this with me, seeing that, oh, I had no idea. Like, to say, live with an idea of yeah, direct contact with God would be great. It's like, yes, of course, that must be possible. Seeing that it is a whole different story altogether. It is not about attaining that necessarily, directly, completely. No, it's not what that is about. So you definitely have something to do here. And it's not about, say, getting through your limitations as quickly as possible and leaving this place behind. No. But you can also say this, it's like, and this may be the way to end this class or this moment together. And that is, you probably have sufficient experience now in encountering limitations. So taking time to allow yourself to collapse into your humanhood, into your limitations, and say, come into communication, into peace for just a moment, is a great thing to do, to allow, like what we call dying daily. You know, this is a perfect moment to die in your limitations, and that can be part of this practice. So you, for one instant, you receive, like, you enter into a deep place inside yourself to experience the peace and to experience light and love, in which you see, like, oh yes, I am completely connected. I just lost it for a moment. I was so into my limitations. I had no idea. But now I finally, for just a moment, I was relieved of that. So in order to provide that, I am going to read you a miracle prayer that will be just right for us right now. So it is also from this big book. So sit back and relax. I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. I have a kingdom I must rule. At times it does not seem I am its king at all. It seems to triumph over me and tell me what to think, what to do, and to feel. And yet it has been given me to serve whatever purpose I perceive in it. My mind can only serve. Today I give its service to the Holy Spirit to employ as He sees fit. I thus direct my mind, which I alone can rule, and thus I set it free to do the will of God. Father, my mind is open to your thoughts and closed today to every thought but yours. I rule my mind and offer it to you. Accept my gift, for it is yours to me. I'll repeat this one more time. I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. I have a kingdom I must rule, and at times it does not seem I am its king at all. It seems to triumph over me and tell me what to think and what to do and feel. And yet it has been given me to serve whatever purpose I perceive in it. My mind can only serve, and today I give its service to the Holy Spirit to employ as He sees fit. I thus direct my mind, which I alone can rule, and thus I set it free to do the will of God. Father, my mind is open to your thoughts and closed today to every thought but yours. I rule my mind and offer it to you. Accept my gift, for it is yours to me. So let's sit with that for just a moment.